For today's lecture, I'm Nisimadan to take you in today's lecture, and the class is BPAM 32, and the question is procurement policy and practice, and I'm going to lecture online, and it will be a continuation of where we stopped. But I will first give you overview so that even others can see the topics that you're supposed to cover for the entire question. Then after that, I will continue from where we stopped. Otherwise, I welcome everyone who has managed to attend to this afternoon's lecture, and I hope you are still safe. So as far as the overview is concerned, I will highlight on the course outline. I know we have moved on, but let me also repeat the course outline so that you know what you're supposed to study. Then I will also inform you about the assessment mode, how you'll be examined in as far as tests, courseworks, and exams are concerned. Reference and the timetable, but I sent the timetable in your WhatsApp group. I hope all the members are aware that we shall be meeting every week at this time, Wednesday 3 to 3:50 p.m. Then conclusion. So let me straight away go to the course outline. Then, as far as the course outline is concerned, the first topic is about introduction, definition of procurement. Then, after definition, categories of procurement, objectives of procurement. Second topic is similarities and differences, comparing and contrasting public and private procurement. Then general principles of procurement, which were already covered. Last time we looked at disposal management. Today we shall start another topic called procurement methods, but there are other topics which I will briefly highlight on. Then I will come back and we'll start. Other topics include tendering and evaluation, supplier sourcing, procurement and negotiation, capital and revenue procurement, key stakeholders of public procurement, standard bid stroke tender documents, which are used in the process of procurement, developing of specifications and terms of reference as another topic. All these are topics, the ones I mentioned. Public procurement monitoring and evaluation systems, pre-qualification of bidders, quality management and assurance in procurement, procurement planning, procurement ethics, and the last topic will be outsourcing. After covering all those topics, then we shall have completed our course unit of procurement policy and practice. Now, assessment mode. Since last time I gave you a coursework and I registered your marks, but you left without doing a test. You will be given a test, but not today. It's time, and it will be on online, and some quizzes. And the test will be marked out of 20, plus the 20 marks which you got in the coursework, making a total of 40. While the final examination will be marked out of 60, and you all know it is still pending, still reopening of institutions by government. And for reference, I gave everyone a handout, and most of you went with hard copies. So I would just be explaining your notes. No need to send soft copies since you already have notes. So let me return to the course outline, and then we look at a topic called procurement methods. Now, I will explain, and after explaining, I will even record the lecture and send it on your WhatsApp groups so that those viewers who have not logged in due to some challenges here and there, they can be able to listen to my lecture and pick something. But next time, I encourage most of you to log in. So procurement methods, there are different methods that are used in the process of acquiring goods, services, and works. And different organizations use different methods of procurement. The method to use depends on the actual situation on the ground, because different organizations have different needs, have different requirements, have different challenges. Therefore, since there exists a number of procurement methods, an organization will pick a method that will suit its own situation and predicament. I'm now going to look at the methods of procurement. The first one is called pre-qualification and request for proposal. Pre-qualification and request for proposal is used specifically to obtain a short list of bidders or vendors. And this method is used particularly with the intention of ensuring that the bids are confined to the organization's bidders, not outsiders. This is because of the conditions which exist, making it hard to attract outside bidders. And which conditions are these? The works, services, supplies to be acquired are highly complex. They are difficult and they are specialized. These organizations feel that they should use their own inputs, their own bidders, because it will take longer and it will become very expensive if they are to advertise for every bidder to apply. Secondly, the costs of preparing a detailed bid would be a discouraged competition, and the evaluation is particularly detailed, and a larger number of bids would require excessive time and resources. Thus, organizations, after considering the conditions I've talked, decided to call upon bidders inside the system, inside the organization, and that is the method which we term as pre-qualification. So pre-qualification and request for proposals only for internal bidders, not outsiders. That is the first method of procurement. And I've said different organizations use different methods of procurement depending on their situation, depending on the environment they are working in, depending on the amount of resources they have. The second method of procurement is called open domestic bidding. This is, most people refer to this method as the best method of procurement because open domestic bidding is preferred since it opens participation on equal terms to all the bidders. With this method, it does not exclude all the bidders. In fact, it invites both domestic and foreign bidders freely to bid for, they call upon all the bidders to apply so that they can be given work on equal terms. And how does it do it? Opportunities are publicly advertised using a bid notice in a national newspaper for wide saturation, so that all the bidders at the end of the day should not complain that they were not informed that there was a project or there was work and they did not inform them well. That's why we, with open domestic bidding, bid notice in a national newspaper or even any other modern way of advertisement like social media must be done. A procurement unit will invite the bidders, and the bidders must obtain bid documents from the project organization, and after they submit their bids. And it is a preferred method of procurement because it allows free competition. And we said one of the principles of procurement is free competition and fairness, plus transparency being open. So this method promotes transparency since it is open, and it also promotes fair competition. After advertising, then people are freely, they come and bid for a project or for work. And it also ensures value for money. And I've said with this method of procurement, after you have advertised in a national newspaper, these newspapers are even downloaded. They can even reach outside the country. Foreign and international bidders are also allowed to participate, except that a foreign participant is also subjected to the same criteria as a domestic participant. So there is no discrimination. That's why this method is the preferred method of procurement as per Article 5 of the PPDA Act 2003. The third method of procurement is called open international bidding. This is a method of procurement. Someone may say, since it is open international bidding, domestic bidders are not encouraged to participate. No, it is a method of procurement where foreign firms are invited to compete with the domestic bidders. As you advertise inviting domestic bidders, you also call upon the international bidders to come on board and compete with domestic bidders, so that at the end of the day, you achieve quality, value for money, accountability, since competition will be high. A project organization may use this procurement method where it feels competition will not be effective without foreign bidders. And as I've said, when you invite foreign bidders to compete with domestic bidders, it also increases the value for money. But nothing stops a domestic bidder from participating, as I've said, except if it is stated in the bid documents. And to stop a domestic bidder, it means that there are some international obligations and prohibitions, such as sanctions. Like if a country is under a sanction or an embargo, then it means people from that country cannot be allowed to bid. But if there are no sanctions, then you allow foreign bidders to compete with domestic bidders. Then another method of procurement is called selective domestic and selective international bidding. Let us start with selective domestic. Obviously, from the word selective, it means inviting bidders, only domestic bidders, without including foreign bidders. But if you were to use this method of selective domestic bidding, you must ensure that you have invited enough domestic bidders so that you promote fair competition. Failure to do so, it will mean you have compromised the procurement principle of fair competition. Then when it comes to selective international bidding, it is the opposite of selective domestic bidding. Selective international bidding refers to where you only invite foreign bidders, not domestic bidders. And also, if you do it, if you feel the work you want to be done can only be managed by foreign bidders, you are allowed to invite them, but make sure you invite enough so that there is fair competition. And that fair competition is one of the major tenets of procurement, as we have already seen. Another method of procurement is called direct procurement. Direct procurement. It is a method of procurement, but I think it should be the last resort. What is direct procurement? This is where procurement, a project procurement unit would use one source or bidder, but it uses one source under exceptional circumstances. As I've said, it should be the last resort, because when you look at it keenly, it also, in one way or the other, compromises procurement principles, but can be used under exceptional circumstances where you go for only one